Alright, so here's where we are. I think I showed you this before. I have a couple of these out in the back shed there, in the old truck body. I only have one squirrel cage. Squirrel cage has to turn clockwise. That gives me the air out over here, out the blower. And naturally the motor has to turn clockwise. And it does. Got a pulley on here. It's a actually it's multi. I can't use the last one because it has an issue, so I may just cut this and so we don't have to worry about it catching on anything. I'm going to bolt this down to the wood that you see it on here, the plywood. So this is going to get bolted down, and I'm going to bolt down this side right here. But I'm going to leave possibly some type of an adjustment. So what I might use here, I'm not sure, but I might use something like these so that the thread is actually embedded right into the bottom of the, there you go. The bottom part here will be right embedded right into the plywood. That'll give me some adjustments on that screw right from the top without having to get underneath. Because what I'm going to have to do is make some type of an adjustment so that the motor here can be tightened up. You know, meaning put on tilt of some sort. So the two legs that are here, there's another set in the back. So if I make something there that has an adjustable threaded type bolt or something, I can probably do it. Now what I'm thinking here is, if I take a piece of square stock, you know, maybe quarter inch by 2 inches, 3 inches, whatever, and I drill a hole here and here, I can take it and put a large bolt through here, a hex bolt with a nut under here, so this can be adjustable with using this nut going against the base, the plywood. This one will just have a nut and bolt connecting it to the motor. So this, if I bend this a little bit to make it a little bit easier angle, as I tighten down on this, this will drop down, push against the plywood, therefore pushing this up, making it tight, making the belt tight. So basically it'll be done down behind there. So if I go in here with an extension, and here with an extension, and tighten down on it, it's going to start kicking the motor back this way, tightening up on the belt. So I think that's what I'm going to do and start working on it. Now the ideal thing is possibly just to bolt the motor right to the back of the squirrel cage, but then I really have no way of making any type of adjustments unless I have to put a piece of, well, I can bolt a piece of plywood right to this too, but then how am I going to bolt this anywhere if I have nothing down here to work with, if you know what I mean. So that's where I'm at. So I'm going to think that out a little bit more and start making the adjustment rod. Try to find some old stuff laying around here I can do it with, and see what goes on. Alright, so got 2 screws in there temporary. I was going to make this adjustable as well, so that if I wanted to change pulley size, but I figured, you know, it's just too complex for what I'm looking to do. I'm not going to be going nuts with this thing. If anything, I'll see. I'm not sure if I can, but if I can put some type of a dimmer or variable control on the motor itself, that would take the place of me swapping pulleys. But at that point, it's there. The belt's still loose. Hey, bear. Alright, but as you can see, the squirrel cage is turning. And, well, hold on a minute, because you can't see air. Can you now? If you were able to, boy, it would be pretty darn good. You can see it if it's dirty. But anyway, there we go. So that's where we're at. Hey Bear, how you doing, buddy? Come here. What's my boy up to? There's my buddy. You're my big boy, huh? You're my buddy. Yeah, Bear's the alpha. Yeah, Bear's the boss. Well, under me he is. Yeah. You're the buddy. You're my buddy, huh? Yeah. Yeah, you're the boss. Huh? See, I'm the boss. I'm the boss. Yeah. Alright, well, this is what I put together real quick. However, I should have measured because this needs to be longer. It fits, but it doesn't allow me to get in there with a ratchet to adjust this if I have to. Because what's going to happen is I loosen up the lock nut and then I can take this and turn it down. And as I turn that down, it's going to push against the base, the wood, and it's going to start bringing this up. And this is going to be bolted to the motor, which will make the motor tilt. And I just got to put something on the end here so it doesn't really just dig into the wood instead of giving me adjustment. However, this has to be about an inch or so longer. So let me start making another one. Well, now I know why I used this one. Because that's the only one I had as far as size. I had an old piece of stock. I have no more of that anywhere. I was thinking of using that, but once I got to put a little bend in it, and once I cut this to put the bend in it, it's going to take the strength away from it, and that's going to give me an issue there. So kind of oh, wait a minute, what do I got here? You know what, a small piece of this would probably work. Yeah, okay, I was just going to go hunt the garage to see if I had something out in the garage, but let me see what I got in here. Hold on. And you know what? If I cut a piece of this, the length that it is now would never work because it would bend. But if I cut it for what I'm using, it's not going to bend. So I think that's going to work just fine. So save me a trip out to the garage. All right. Then sometimes you pick up the camera and talk to yourself and things come about. Now I also found these. And I already threaded that out and tapped that to fit this, which is bigger. If it was smaller, I'd be able to do it the opposite way. But see, that has a little foot on it. So, but I can still find something there and tack it on. I'll do something with it. Alright, let me continue on. Alright. I was going to use that piece that I found earlier because it was long enough, but I figured it wasn't going to be thick enough to thread it. So what I did was I just cut a piece and I adapted it to here with some nut and bolts. If it works, I'll just put a quick tack on it. But I wanted to have this threaded into that so I didn't have to fight with an additional nut being down underneath where it would be almost impossible to get. Because now this going to sit down in here like this, and as I tighten this down, it's going to push against the floor or the base, and by doing that it's going to raise this, which is going to tighten the belt. So that's where I'm at. I just got to put a plate there. I'm going to put a little plate down there with a few screws just to make sure that the main bolt doesn't go through and start just going into the wood and then loosening up over time. So anyway, that's where we're at so far. Alright, so anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tighten up the belt. So I'm going to, hopefully, in theory, this is supposed to work. I'm going to take this here, I'm going to drive it down, and it's pushing against the base. And it's tightening up the belt. Good. 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 So that takes care of that. Now I just got to tighten the lock nut down in there, as you can see it. See if I can find a little wrench. And it would definitely be a lot easier if I had known what I used as far as size. I was working on something a few months ago, and the wrench was too thick, so I grounded it down a little bit so I was able to get it into where I was working on. I don't remember what the hell I was working on at the time, but it worked. It did what it had to do, and that is too small. So let's go up a size or two. So anyway, weather's not too bad today as far as coldness. It's not real cold. However, the sun's not out, but you know, we can kind of deal with that. And it's not real cold out. So, yeah. All right. So the little blower, that couldn't, can now do its job. Let me put some of these away and I'll be right with you. The only thing that I didn't do, I didn't take into consideration as far as the alignment of the belt. So I just kind of eyeballed it, and I really didn't make anything for the alignment. So I don't know. So we'll see how the eyeball worked. There we go. Working. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, now that I have something mounted, I have a working piece. Now I just have to decide where I'm going to put it and how I want it to work, because it's got to suck in the heat from here. So it sucks the heat in from here, it blows it out over here. So, yes. So anyway, we got this much done, so now I can put that away and think about the rest of it.